Mary is a well-known flirtatious girl in the circle. None of her boyfriends have lasted more than 3 months, yet we have been together for 5 years. The whole world knows that she loves me dearly, but only I know the truth. Whenever the night is quiet, she sends voice messages to others. My dear, how can George compare to how obedient you are? On my birthday, Mary threw a grand banquet for me, taking care of everything from inviting guests to selecting the dishes all by herself. Despite being a wealthy young lady, she tirelessly dedicated herself to making it happen for me. At first, her friends thought she was just playing around with me. However, after 5 years of being in love, she treated me better each day. The Mary, who once declared, "I want to enjoy life until I die," is now about to marry me. Her friends were all shocked. Mary pushed a car carrying a huge birthday cake onto the scene, singing happy birthday with a bright smile on her beautiful face. She happily jumped beside me, wrapped her arms around my neck, stood on her tiptoes, and gently pecked my cheek with her red lips, looking at me with eyes full of tenderness. George, happy birthday. This is the 5th birthday I've celebrated with you. Mary looked stunning today, her fitted red dress making her even more striking and charming. Others surrounded us, clapping and cheering. I gently let go of her arm without leaving a trace, feeling a slight bitterness in my heart. I glanced around. Whether it was the banquet setup or the dishes and drinks, everything was chosen according to my preferences. Mary took out a gift box, inside which was a beautiful men's couple necklace, while another one was already around her neck. She asked me to lower my head and personally put it on for me. A friend from college leaned in, his tone laced with a hint of envy. George, Miss Mary is really good to you. Not only does she celebrate your birthday with you every year, but she also puts in so much thought. That flirtatious young lady has actually settled down for you. Back in college, Miss Mary pursued you relentlessly, confessing her feelings in all sorts of ways. At first, no one thought much of you, but who would have thought that after 5 years, you're still so sweet together? George, Miss Mary really loves you. I'm so envious of you. Do you love me? I looked at Mary, who was chatting with her friends not far away. She swirled her wine glass, elongating her beautiful neck, cold and elegant like a proud peacock. But in the next moment, she turned to look at me, her red lips slightly curling, her eyes shimmering with tender affection. I lowered my gaze, unable to suppress a self-deprecating laugh. If she really loved me, how could she, in the dead of night, affectionately call the man on the other end of the phone, Little Heart? That was an ambiguous nickname that I had never been called. Everyone in the wealthy circle knows that Mary loves me very much. Mary was previously known for being flirtatious and promiscuous, changing boyfriends one after another. After another relationship with none lasting more than 3 months, ever since she started dating me, she has settled down, deleted all her ambiguous contacts, and devoted herself entirely to me. She stopped smoking and drinking and no longer frequented bars and nightclubs. Her friends were shocked by her change and asked her what happened. At that moment, Mary shyly looked down and chuckled softly. George doesn't like me doing these things. After Mary and I had been dating for a short while, I accompanied her to a family gathering for the first time as her boyfriend. At the banquet, a wealthy young lady looked me up and down with a disdainful gaze. Then she spoke to Mary, but her eyes were fixed on me, her tone laced with sarcasm. Mary, don't you usually like those muscular young hunks? Yeah, so this time you're taking an... He looks like a sickly pretty boy. Mary's expression instantly darkened, radiating an aura of coldness. Amidst the gasps of the crowd, Mary splashed the red wine in her hand onto the face of the wealthy lady, strode forward, and slapped her hard. Grabbing her hair, she yanked it back forcefully with a cold face. George is not my kept man. He is my boyfriend. And who gave you permission to look at him like that? After the banquet, Mary was scolded by her father because the wealthy lady was currently in collaboration with the Yeez Group, which was not to be offended. Mary was an only child, and as a result, her father forced her to study management at the Yeez Group, which was something she had once despised the most. At first, no one had high hopes for us, mocking when I would be abandoned by Miss Mary. After all, she was the daughter of a prominent family while I was just an ordinary piano teacher. But at that moment, they began to realize that Mary was not just playing around with me. She was serious. I am very touched by everything she has done for me, and I do my best to treat her well. No matter what requests she makes, I fulfill them. But now, just 5 years later, as we are about to get married, this Mary, who once loved me wholeheartedly, is flirting with another man. When she talks about me, her words are filled with disdain. Every day, looking at his face, it's so boring, and I'm really fed up. At first, I put in a lot of effort to chase her for a whole year, but it only stirred my competitive spirit. Now I'm truly tired of it. My dear, what I like is you. George can't compare to how obedient and lovely you are. After the birthday party ended, the sky darkened to a hazy gloom as we returned to the villa. Maria just sat down for a short while when she glanced at the time, stood up, and picked up the coat from the hanger with her back to me. Her voice came from the entrance. George, Dad asked me to go back to the office for a bit. I might be back after midnight, and since you usually can't stay up late, don't wait for me. Just go to bed early. I gently stopped her, lowered my head to look at her face, and pleaded, Mary, I want to be alone with you tonight. He'll play the piano for you. Okay. My voice trembled. Mary was taken aback for a moment, pausing for a few seconds. Then she wrapped her arms around my waist, pressed her face against my chest, and softly said, in a somewhat spoiled tone, George, this document is really important. If I don't go, Dad will scold me again. I stared at her face. Her smile was as bright as ever, yet there was not a hint of panic or guilt from lying to me. My heart ached faintly. I gently pushed her away, trying to remain calm as I said, well, you go ahead and do your thing. Mary smiled at me, tiptoed to pat my head, and said, once I'm done, I'll take you to see your favorite music exhibition. With that, she turned and left. I sighed, and after a moment, I picked up the car keys and drove after her. The car stopped not far from the company. However, Mary did not go to the company. She walked straight toward an apartment. Through the glass window, a very young man stood inside the door with his shirt open. And the moment Mary stepped in, he suddenly embraced her with his tall frame. Sister, I miss you so much. I've been waiting for you anxiously. Mary chuckled softly, her eyes filled with desire, cradling his face and kissing him. The man lifted her body, and the two pressed closely together, gradually walking into the bedroom, their figures disappearing from sight. My heart instantly felt as cold as a frozen cave that I stood outside for a long time. The cold wind of the night blew in gusts, but it was not as cold as the chill in my heart. I couldn't help but recall what Mary had said. George, I have only loved you in this life. I've truly only been moved by you. Mary, your love is cheap. In fact, I had known for a long time about their meeting tonight, but seeing it with my own eyes was still very painful. Last night, their chat record showed little heart. Tomorrow, he'll celebrate his birthday and then come to watch you dance. Sister, it'll be less tomorrow night to wait for you. I wanted to give her one last chance, and I begged her to stay, but she left without a trace of guilt. I was completely disheartened by her. In the early hours of the morning, Mary returned home. Perhaps afraid of waking me, she didn't turn on the lights. After taking off her high heels, she quietly tiptoed into the bedroom. In the dark, I wasn't asleep. I had a small light on and was calmly looking at her. Startled, Mary furrowed her brows, sat down beside me, and with a hint of annoyance on her face, scolded, George, why are you still awake? If you stay up late, you'll have a headache again tomorrow. After she finished speaking, she reached out her hand to touch my forehead, and I gently lowered her hand. My expression was complicated. At that moment, the look in her eyes was filled with concern for me. Her care for me was genuine. Mary was taken aback, and then, as if she thought of something, she smiled slightly, picked up the gift bag beside her, and presented it to me like a treasure, softly apologizing, George, I didn't ACCOMP. Are you angry? Don't be angry. Look, I brought you a gift. She leaned in closer to me, a faint scent of perfume that had been forcefully masked still lingering, along with a hint of another man's unique fragrance. I never wear perfume. Mary smiled at me, acting coy under the light. Her eyes sparkled, and her smile was bright and captivating. But when she left, her lips were full of lipstick, and when she returned, the lip print was faint, hidden beneath her hair. Her neck faintly revealed deep kiss marks. I was tired. My heart ached and felt bitter. It was as if it had been cut by a knife. My heart shattered into pieces, and a bony pain coursed through my entire body. I slowly closed my eyes, feeling a sense of relief. Mary, I know where you just went. Then I looked deeply at her. I saw everything, including your chat records. I am not someone who enjoys invading others' privacy, especially since she is the person I love. I respect and trust her. I have always been a light sleeper, and any noise easily wakes me up. Late last night, my phone by the bed suddenly vibrated repeatedly, standing out starkly in the quiet night. Mary was sleeping soundly, and I was disturbed. I casually glanced at my phone. It was a call from someone saved as Little Heart. This ambiguous and affectionate nickname made me feel particularly uncomfortable, and alarm bells went off in my mind. I couldn't tell if the person on the other end of the line was calling intentionally or unintentionally in the dead of night. The call was disconnected, but in the next moment, I was startled and widened my eyes. A vague message popped up on the screen. Sister, are you asleep? I can't sleep. I miss you so much. Immediately after, another message followed. Sister, I want to hold you and sleep every day. Your scent is really sweet. Sister, I just learned a boy band dance. Remember to come find me tomorrow night. I felt an instant chill all over my body. My mind went blank. My heart was screaming in madness. No, I don't believe it. Mary wouldn't betray me. However, the affectionate notes and explicit messages left me feeling cold. By some twist of fate, I typed my birthday on the screen with trembling hands. The password is incorrect. Then I looked up at Mary. She seemed to be having a beautiful dream, wearing a sweet smile. My heart felt bitter. I gently held her hand and pressed her fingerprint. The latest message on the chat read, Sweetheart, tomorrow he'll celebrate his birthday with him. Then he'll come to watch you dance. I gritted my teeth, gripping my phone tightly, my knuckles turning pale from the effort. The further I scrolled up, the deeper the immense sadness in my heart spread. The chat history began 2 years ago. The conversations transformed from ordinary greetings into flirtatious banter between a man and a woman. The way the other person addressed me changed from the initial Miss Mary, President Mary, to sister, and even baby dear. I know that person. I have added his contact information. Tom is a local boy band singer. 2 years ago, he came to the Yeez group to shoot a product promotion advertisement, and that's how he gradually became familiar with Mary. Since that day, Mary sometimes looks at her phone and suddenly bursts into laughter. While chatting with me, she occasionally sneaks a glance at her phone. She would spend a lot of money sending resources to Tom, buying him gifts, and suppressing those who hindered his career. Tom often came to the company to see her. Tom didn't want to stay in the dormitory, so Mary gave him an apartment. I had always naively thought that this was just a professional relationship between them. Mary's spending on him was merely because she valued his talent. A finger paused over a conversation. The time was 11 p.m. on May 20th, 2 years ago. Sister, is my skill better, or is George better? Of course, it's yours, my dear. So that's how it was. I recall that night. The sky was somewhat dim, as if a heavy rain was about to fall. Mary has always disliked rainy days. She hates the feeling of being wet. I was worried that she would get caught in the rain on her way to the car after leaving the office. While it hadn't started to rain yet, I hurried to the office to bring her an umbrella. After entering the office, I was stunned for a few seconds. Tom was there too. They were chatting about something, and Mary was smiling with her eyes curved. When Tom saw me, he waved at me generously and called out, "Brother George," which made me suppress my suspicions. However, Mary didn't seem very happy. She had a stern look on her face and urged, "George, you should go back quickly. I still have work to do." I nodded gently, not wanting to delay their discussion about work. After placing the umbrella at the door, I turned and left. Thus, I overlooked the hint of triumph that flashed in Tom's eyes behind me. Soon after, the two of them were close together. On the way back, the sky suddenly opened up with a heavy rain, and I got soaked. Later, at 9 p.m. that night, Tom posted on his social media, "I didn't expect President Mary to sleep so cutely like a child," with a sneaky smile. The accompanying picture showed Mary sleeping on her desk, surrounded by piles of documents, with dark circles under her eyes. I felt very sorry for her at that moment, sorry that she was so exhausted she fell asleep. Looking back now, maybe that was taken after the event that in the bedroom, a flicker of panic crossed Mary's face, but she quickly composed herself. She took my hand and winked. "George, I was just handling some documents at the office." I gently brushed her off, feeling extremely disappointed. Even now, she was still lying to me. "Mary, I know you just went to the apartment." She seemed a bit flustered and stumbled back a few steps. I stared at her face and continued word by word. "I'm so tired of looking at his face every day. Chasing after him back then was just a matter of pride. Now I'm bored with it. George can't compare to how Idiot and lovely you are." I approached her step by step, wanting to see what expression would be on her face after being exposed. Mary collapsed to the ground, her face growing increasingly pale. She shook her head desperately, her eyes brimming with tears. Welling up in her gaze, she held my hand tightly, biting her lip, her expression so helpless. "George, I looked down at her, my face filled with deep sadness. "Mary, I know I don't deserve you. If you're tired of me, why don't you just tell me? When we first got together, didn't we promise that we would never lie to each other, that we would never betray each other? We have been together for 5 years, and we are about to get married. I really thought we could grow old together, never leaving each other. But you have changed. Your heart. I would never force you to marry someone you don't love. You told me you would leave right away. Why do you have to treat me this way?" A wave of bitterness surged in my heart. I am not a person who cries easily. I raised my hand, only to realize that a line of clear tears had already slipped down the corner of my eye. In fact, I know that every little moment we shared was genuine on her part. She truly loves me, but she also betrayed me, and that is true as well. Mary came close to me anxiously, wrapping her arms around my waist, her face full of tears, crying and pleading with me, her voice trembling. "George, I was wrong. I haven't changed my heart. I still love you. I don't like Tom. He has been deliberately getting close to me and just playing around with him. I really know I was wrong. Can you forgive me this time?" Her beautiful and delicate face was streaked with tears, her eyes swollen and red from crying, looking both pitiful and fragile. Usually, whenever she asked me for something, I would agree to any request and meet any condition. But now, that is no longer possible. Betrayal is betrayal, once as countless times. I have my own dignity. I let go of her hand, slowly pushing her away, my tone firm. "Mary, let's break up." After being together for 5 years, this was the first time I said break up, the first time I refused her request. Mary knew very well that once I made up my mind, it wouldn't change. Despair filled her heart as her eyes widened in an instant. Shaking her head repeatedly, she cried out in pain, "George, I don't want to." I glanced at the couple's necklace around her neck, now tainted with the scent of other men. I ripped the necklace from my neck and shoved it into her hand. "Here, take it back. I don't want it anymore," Mary cried, unwilling to accept it, and the necklace fell to the ground, cracking with a fracture, just like our broken love. I dragged my suitcase, every gift she had given me over the past 5 years. Regardless of size, I had already packed, organized, and placed in the bedroom. I walked to the entrance, and behind me came Mary's voice. She spoke cautiously, her voice filled with sadness yet tinged with a hint of hope. "George, are you really not coming back? Once you leave, I didn't." I stopped opening the door to leave. "Mary, let's not see each other again." Behind me, she covered her face with her hands and began to cry out loud. The sound of her sorrow echoed in the empty villa for a long time. When I left, the sky was gradually brightening. After tossing and turning all night without sleep, my head ached terribly. Once I was a bit more awake, I took the bus, planning to visit my parents. After my stepmother opened the door for me, she was momentarily taken aback and invited me inside. My dad was leaning next to my younger brother, kindly teaching him how to solve problems. Dad was smiling the whole time, his face radiating happiness. After Dad divorced Mom, she went abroad, and Dad remarried, having a son with his stepmother. Their family of 3 is harmonious and happy, while I feel like an outsider standing there. When Dad heard the noise and looked up, he was taken aback upon seeing me dragging my luggage. He frowned as I told my dad what had happened. I hung my head, full of sorrow with red-rimmed eyes. Dad sighed softly and lit a cigarette. The white, hazy smoke enveloped his face, obscuring his expression, but the words he spoke chilled my heart. "George, you know how difficult it is for someone from our background to be with Mary. Moreover, young ladies in their circle, isn't it quite normal to play around with a few men? The media hasn't made it public yet, which means Miss Mary still has feelings for you. Dad advises you to go back now. Don't break up. As long as the one who ends up marrying her is you, what does it matter how many men she has played with?" I chuckled at myself. I should have seen this coming. Dad has never really liked me since I was little. Not far away, my younger brother blinked his big eyes at us in curiosity. "Dad, if my brother cheated, would you say the same thing?" I looked at him calmly. "What nonsense are you talking about?" He panicked for a moment, his gaze darting around. Raising his voice, he said, "Forget it, Dad, I'm leaving." I turned to walk away. Behind me, Dad sighed. "George, I still advise you not to break up." I rented a small apartment, and after tidying up, my headache became even worse. I don't know when, but I lay down on the bed and fell asleep just like that. I had a dream. I dreamed of the time when Mary and I were still in college, not long after we officially got together. One weekend, I cooked for her. Mary quietly leaned over, her whole body pressed against my back, her arms wrapped around my waist. Her little head peeked out from behind, watching me chop vegetables, her eyes crescent-shaped with happiness. "George, you're really wonderful. I'm so lucky." Then, as if she had made some significant decision, she lifted her head to look at me, her expression gentle. "I've decided I want to learn how to cook." I smiled down at her, a wave of sweetness rising in my heart, and playfully rubbed her nose. "Mary, you don't need to learn. I can cook for you for a lifetime." Mary gently shook her head and said earnestly, "No, George, I want to be a good wife for—" I will never forget the expression on her face at that moment. I truly believed that we could walk into the halls of marriage together. We could vow to each other under the gaze of the priest. We could grow old together. She would cling to me every day, asking me to teach her how to cook. When I wasn't around, she often held a cookbook, shaking a spatula while scratching her head in frustration that a week later she hadn't learned a single dish. Instead, her 10 fingers were wrapped in thick band-aids. After waking up, I touched my cheek and realized that I had actually shed tears. My fingers inadvertently brushed against a scar on my forehead. It was a wound left from a car accident we encountered during our trip after graduating from university. In that moment of violent impact, I instinctively held Mary tightly in my arms. A large amount of fresh blood dripped from her forehead, splattering onto her face. She was extremely frightened, her body trembling uncontrollably, crying and calling my name incessantly. At that moment, she was terrified like never before. I passed out. When I woke up again, I was in the hospital. Mary was sleeping on my hospital bed, her face haggard with dark circles under her eyes. When she saw me wake up, she excitedly covered her mouth, her face filled with joy. In the next moment, tears uncontrollably streamed down her face as she tightly grasped my hand, as if holding on to a precious treasure that had been lost and found again. "George, I'm so scared." At that moment, I realized her voice had already become hoarse from crying. Even speaking a word made her throat hurt painfully. In the middle of the night, in a daze, I saw Mary throw herself in her mother's arms, trembling all over. "Mom, George has been protecting me. He's covered in blood. So much blood. I'm so scared. I'm really so scared." At that moment, I kept thinking, "Please, dear God, send someone to save him. Even if it means I have to die, I would be willing. I really can't lose him." The noble and charming Mary, who appeared so dignified in front of others, was now crying helplessly like a child because of me. My heart felt soft. She truly loved me. Yet, the Mary who once loved me so deeply has now changed her heart. However, I do not regret it. I bid her farewell with such decisiveness and determination. The winter vacation is over, and school has started again. After graduating from university, I was invited by my mentor to stay at my alma mater as a piano teacher. As soon as I stepped into the office, the atmosphere was very lively. Mary was calling her assistant to distribute coffee to the teachers in the office, and also gave each of them some expensive little gifts. The teachers surrounded her and teased, "Miss Mary, when can we attend your wedding with George?" Upon hearing this, Mary lowered her head, shyly smiled, and her cheeks turned red. I strode over, pushed through the crowd, and calmly looked at her. "Enough, Mary. We have already broken up." Everyone else was shocked. In front of so many people, I said the word breakup from my mouth again. Mary was taken aback, her nose slightly tinged with sadness, the corners of her eyes slightly reddened, her gaze revealing a sense of loneliness, and her heart ached. She grabbed my hand and said softly, "George, don't say those two words. Let's make up, okay?" Under the astonished gazes of everyone, I directly moved her hand away and looked at her. "You know me. I made it very clear that night my thoughts won't change." Perhaps after a few days of calm, seeing Mary again, I felt unexpectedly at peace. Mary bit her lip, looked up to meet my gaze, and pleaded, "Please don't be so cruel to me." I smiled self-deprecatingly. "Mary, what have you done? Have you forgotten?" She looked a bit flustered and remained silent for a long time. I ignored her and turned to leave. She clutched the hem of my clothes, unwilling to let go. I pulled my shirt back forcefully, and she stumbled a few steps backward. As I walked out the door, I brushed past Tom, who was hurrying over. He shot me a glare, his eyes filled with jealousy. In the office, Tom gently supported Mary, feeling sorry for her. "Sister, be careful," but Mary forcefully pushed him away. "Get away." Tom looked at her in disbelief, hurt. Today is the school's anniversary celebration. Mary and Tom were both invited as alumni to attend the celebration at their alma mater. On the stage, in the school hall, my piano performance serves as the grand finale of the celebration. This performance was arranged for me by my mentor. I am dressed in a white suit, standing in front of the piano, my expression focused. The stage light shines solely on me, and the crowd below cheers and applauds. Since graduating from university, how long has it been since I performed on stage like this? I have loved music since I was young and have a great talent for the piano. In college, I was called the Piano Prince, and everyone believed I would become a pianist in the future. However, I did not. Mary would gently stroke my hands and softly advise me, "George, your hands are so beautiful. I really want them to play just for me, not for the whole world to see." For her, in my senior year, I gave up the opportunity to study piano abroad that my mentor had worked so hard to secure for me. Because of a single sentence from Mary, I gave up my dream. I let down my mentor's expectations of me, yet in return, I received her deception and betrayal that I won't accept anymore. Never again. From now on, I will only live for myself. No one can stop me from pursuing my dreams. Mary watched my performance from the audience, her eyes fixed on me the entire time. She was stunned for a long while. Back when we were in college, the first time she saw me was at a performance like this. She was captivated by me playing the piano. Down below, at that time, Mary smiled confidently and said to her friends, "In a week, I will win this unattainable beauty." Later, she pursued me for a whole year before finally catching up. Mary is not only a wealthy individual but also the president of the Ease Group, and she is very well known online. Our romantic history has also been widely discussed by fans. During the live stream, the fans had already recognized us in the chat room. Comments were flooding in. "Wow, so sweet. Mr. George is playing for Miss Mary, and Miss Mary only has eyes and heart for Mr. George. The love between them is overwhelming. It's killing me." Miss Mary turned back to Mr. George 5 years ago after being a wild girl, and it caused quite a stir online. Who would have thought they are about to get married? It seems Miss Mary really loves Mr. George. I heard that Miss Mary recently threw a grand birthday party for Mr. George. I'm so envious. Mr. George plays the piano so beautifully. He is handsome and talented, and Miss Mary is beautiful and wealthy. They truly are a perfect match. After casually browsing through the comments from fans, I posted a message online. "I'm sorry to disturb everyone, but Miss Mary and I have broken up. I wish everyone well." As soon as the message was posted, it quickly became the top trending topic. There was a flurry of discussions online, with mixed opinions. Fans were all waiting for Mary to respond, but she did not. Later, she sent me a message. "These days apart have really hurt my heart. Can you give me another chance? I will definitely cherish it. I will be a good wife to you." Following that, she sent many more messages of apology. I didn't finish reading them and deleted her contact information. "Mary, let's not contact each other anymore. I applied to my mentor for a spot to study abroad. He was very pleased, patting me on the shoulder and saying, "George, you finally figured it out. I was really disappointed when you gave up this great opportunity. You clearly have talent, yet you were willing to stay at a small university as an ordinary teacher." At first, I mentioned to Mary about wanting to study abroad, but she tugged at my arm and kept acting cute. "George, don't go. If you go abroad, we won't be able to see each other for a long, long time." This time, I smiled and replied firmly, "Teacher, thank you. I will never give up everything for someone unworthy again." I was busy every day preparing for the training abroad. After finishing, just as I stepped out of the school gate, the sky gradually darkened. Outside the school, Mary was leaning against a black car, talking on the phone with her back to me. She tried to control her volume as quietly as possible, but her tone was filled with intense anger and impatience. "How dare you betray me? Didn't I tell you to wear a condom? They'll take care of it myself. Don't fantasize about using this opportunity to climb up the Yees family. Enough, we're done. Don't call me again." After Mary angrily hung up the phone, she turned her head and saw my expression change in an instant. Once she adjusted her emotions, she walked towards me, tucked her hair behind her ear, looked at me a bit nervously, and with a hint of expectation. In her tone, she said, "George, I heard you were going abroad, and I would like to meet with you." I glanced at her and said softly, "There's nothing for us to discuss." After saying that, I stepped past her and turned to leave. Mary quickly caught up, blocking my way, and said anxiously, "Let me take you back. The bus will take a long time." I ignored her words, and in her urgency, she grabbed my arm. "Wait." Then Mary handed me a gift box, biting her lip, her expression sincere. She said, "George, this is the sheet music of your favorite pianist. I promised I would give it to you, and now here it is. Will you accept it?" She kept looking at me, carefully observing my reactions. I glanced at it but did not take it. Refusing her, I said, "I will get this myself. You don't need to give it to me." Mary was taken aback, stumbling back a few steps, her eyes slightly moist, and her gaze towards me filled with bitterness. I turned and left without stopping. During my study abroad for piano, I worked hard every day to make up for the gaps of those few years. I learned many concepts and techniques that were different from those in my home country. My piano skills improved significantly. A month after going abroad, I received a text message that was a close-up photo sent by Tom of him and Mary sleeping in each other's arms. Immediately following was his provocative message, "Tom, the one my sister loves, is me. She has long been tired of you. You have been together for 5 years, yet she doesn't want to have your child. Now she is pregnant with my child, and we will get married. I will be her husband, and the three of us will be happy together. Since you have left, never come back. My sister doesn't want to see you again." The words declared ownership between the lines. I watched expressionlessly, feeling very calm. Tom wanted to provoke me, but I felt nothing. Ever since going abroad, I've been busy every day at the piano, focused on improving my skills and level. I have no time to pay attention to the disturbances back home. Mentioning the names Mary and Tom again, I only feel that the lifeboat has already passed through countless mountains. Mary will not have children. She has never liked kids, finding them very noisy. When we were together, I never pressured her to have kids, but now all of this is no longer my concern. I deleted the text messages and then blocked his number. The overseas training ended quickly, and this experience benefited me greatly, leading to significant improvements in various aspects. After returning to my country, I collaborated with my mentor to participate in various performances, gradually gaining recognition in the music industry. Later, with my mentor's encouragement, I held a personal concert tour in my country. The concert was a great success, and suddenly my fame skyrocketed. I became a rising star pianist, known all over the country. Soon after, I was busy performing all over the world, every day. Before I knew it, it had been a long time since I last saw Mary. I hadn't paid much attention. I paid attention to her life and didn't really know her current situation. The next time I saw her was after a performance. She sat there, dazed in the audience, refusing to leave until the entire crowd had dispersed, leaving her alone. She said, "I want to see you." The staff asked me to persuade her to leave. I sighed softly and sat down across from her. After seeing me, Mary's eyes lit up. Her complexion was pale, and she looked very haggard, completely different from the bright and flamboyant young lady from a wealthy family she used to be. After having an abortion, combined with her long history of heavy drinking and smoking, her health had deteriorated even further. She looked at me nervously, remaining silent for a long time, lost in thought. Compared to the pain, sadness, anger, and resentment right after the breakup, I was now unusually calm. After a long while, I glanced at her and casually said, "Miss Mary, is there something you need from me?" Mary was taken aback for a moment before realizing that I had started addressing her as Miss Mary, whereas in the past, I always called her Mary. She nervously rubbed her hands together, her speech becoming stuttered. "George, congratulations on your performance." I thought for a moment and asked, "How are you and Tom?" To my surprise, Mary suddenly raised her voice, her emotions intense and laced with anger. That bastard. He plays both sides. He's been with so many people before. She trembled slightly with rage. I didn't react much, just smiled lightly, and said in a calm tone, "It's a case of reaping what you sow." Mary was taken aback. Her throat seemed to be choked by something, and she couldn't say a word. The look I gave her held no sympathy, no pity, no compassion. It was simply calm, as if I were looking at an inconsequential stranger. There was even a hint of sarcasm. Finally, Mary gave me a deep look, then wobbled away. Tom's past scandals were quickly dug up online. Before his debut, he had worked as a male escort, was kept by a sugar daddy, and was involved in unspoken rules, using any means necessary to climb the ranks for resources. Additionally, news of Mary cheating on Tom was also exposed. For a time, it caused a huge uproar online. And oh, wonder, Mr. George issued a breakup statement before Miss Mary didn't dare to respond. It turns out she was guilty of cheating. I really can't believe that any scumbag or scumbag woman can change their ways. They are still as repentant as ever. My heart aches for Mr. George. Miss Mary, why not enjoy something good? Playing around with any man, aren't you afraid of catching an Mr. George is now a famous pianist. Please, Miss Mary, don't disturb his life anymore. As soon as the trending topic emerged, Tom was blacklisted by the company. Mary was also ridiculed by netizens, leading to a significant drop in Yes Group stock. In less than 2 years, I became a renowned pianist in the country. I enjoy a prestigious reputation in the music industry and have received widespread praise online. As for Mary, her condition has been getting worse. Things were getting worse and worse, although the trending topic had long been removed. Since then, her health has deteriorated, and her position as president was taken back by her father. Later, just before I was about to go on stage to perform, she blocked my way. Mary looked at me sadly and said, "George, you achieved your dream. Are you happy?" I nodded and smiled slightly. "Very happy." Upon hearing this, her expression turned sorrowful, and she humbly pleaded, "George, I really know I was wrong. In the 5 years we were together, I was sincere with you. I truly only loved you. Can you give me another chance?" I gently uttered 2 words. "No," without a hint of hesitation. "I no longer need your love. Mary, I no longer love you." Mary stood frozen in place. It felt as if her heart was being gripped by something aching fiercely, tears streaming down her pale cheeks. "Mr. George, it's time to go on stage." A staff member called out to me softly. I didn't hesitate and strode confidently toward the stage. On stage, under the shining lights, I radiated brilliance like a star. Meanwhile, Mary crouched down in distress, covering her face and crying loudly. During this performance, I met a girl who is my fan. Her name is Ivy, and she is 3 years younger than me. She is a dance performer and really enjoys my performances. We often exchange knowledge about music. Over time, we started dating. She is completely different in personality from Mary. She is gentle and reserved, and we get along very well. During this time, a major scandal broke out in the Yeast family. It is said that after Mary completely severed ties with Tom, he went to the JIS family to cause a scene, shouting outside the JIS family's door like a madman, "Sister, I want to see you. Didn't you say you love me the most?" Those people were forced by the company. After I met you, I stopped associating with them. "Sister, I don't care about the child. I just want to be with you. Please don't leave me." Mary did not see him. She had her bodyguard beat him up and then dragged him away. However, that night, Tom drove to Mary. His face was twisted and contorted as he crazily said, "Sister, why did you leave me? As long as you are dead, you will never be able to leave me." Mary was rushed to the hospital for emergency treatment. Overnight, Tom was also committed to a psychiatric hospital. After hearing this, I was taken aback. I didn't expect that in the end, Mary would be brought to this outcome by the very people she had attracted. After being rescued, Mary was no longer in life-threatening danger, but her legs may be permanently damaged. She lies days on the hospital bed, staring at the ceiling. After a long while, she moves her lips and says, "I want to see George." When the staff found me, I was cooking for Ivy. After explaining his purpose, I was taken aback for a moment and then gently shook my head. "Sorry," the staff urged. "Teacher George, aren't you going to visit her? After all, you once loved each other." Even Ivy was persuading me from the side. I replied in a flat tone, "I'm not going." After hearing my answer, Mary, although she had anticipated it, still held a glimmer of hope. She knew George very well. Once he made up his mind, he would not change it. She had tried to persuade him many times, but he never looked back. Perhaps Mary should have died in the car accident back then. She drove carelessly, which led to the accident, and the price was that George almost lost his life while trying to protect her. Now she has encountered another car accident, and George will no longer protect her. A deep sadness spreads in her heart, with various complex emotions intertwining: frustration, regret, resentment. Finally, 2 lines of clear tears slid down from the corners of her eyes. Later, Ivy and I got married, and the wedding venue was very grand. I gently placed a ring on her finger. She looked at me, her cheeks slightly flushed, and her smile was radiant. Then, Under the priest's blessing, we exchanged vows, embraced each other, and kissed. Not far away, a bodyguard was pushing Mary, who was sitting in a wheelchair. She quietly gazed at the grand wedding in front of her. She looked frail, with a tired expression, her hands hanging limply over her numb thighs. "Miss, would you like to go take a look?" Mary looked at the happy smile on my face, lowered her head, and with a sorrowful expression, gave a bitter smile and said, "He probably doesn't want to meet at the wedding." The groom and bride were kissing. Mary slowly closed her eyes and softly said, "Let's go." After she finished speaking, the bodyguard pushed her to turn and leave. I looked up and gently glanced into the distance as the wedding was coming to an end. A college friend walked up to me and said, "George, I've watched you and Miss Mary from the time you met to your breakup. After so many years together, I never expected your ending to be like this. Your relationship was envied by everyone back then. George, have you ever regretted it?" I shook my head without a hint of hesitation. "I never regret it. I'm especially happy now." Mary, at first, I really did have a playful attitude towards George. I am the daughter of a wealthy family, beautiful in appearance and from a prominent background. With just a flick of my finger, men would fall at my feet. I enjoy wasting men's genuine feelings, watching them cry and plead for me. It's extremely entertaining. George is the school heartthrob, an unattainable flower, so I set my sights on him as my next target. However, he is different from all the men I've encountered before. I pursued him relentlessly for a whole year. At first, it truly ignited my competitive spirit, and I secretly vowed that once I caught up to him, I would definitely throw him off harshly. I wanted to see him begging on the ground like a dog. Unexpectedly, it was I who developed real feelings first. George is very innocent. He looks at my face, his ears turning bright red from shyness. He genuinely cares about me. He pays attention to my feelings. It's just because I am Mary, not because of my appearance or family background. I remember when George held me tightly in his arms, disregarding everything. He was covered in blood, clearly in so much pain that he couldn't open his eyes, yet he kept smiling and comforting me. "Mary, don't be afraid. I'm here." That was when I realized my dad is a cold, heartless man who cheats on my mom, and my mom doesn't care much about me either. I've hated men since I was little, but at that moment, I realized I really loved George. I could tell at a glance that he was deliberately getting close to me for resources and to climb the social ladder. Fine, I'll just play along with him. When Tom felt he had achieved his goal, he then ruthlessly abandoned me. I have always enjoyed toying with men I despise. I don't understand how to love someone. I thought, as long as I always loved George in my heart, it wouldn't matter. However, love cannot tolerate deception and betrayal. Later, we broke up. I tried to win him back time and again, pleading with him desperately. George never looked back, not even once. I watched him leave me, living a life that was more wonderful and dazzling than when we were together. It was I who trapped him. It was I who concealed his brilliance. It was he who had been accommodating me, tolerating me, and enduring me. It turns out that it wasn't George who couldn't live without me. It was I who couldn't live without George. At their wedding, George kissed another woman's face. I scoffed. That woman was not as beautiful as I am, nor did she have my wealth. Did she deserve George? But I was pierced all over by the happiness radiating from his face. In fact, the one who is least deserving of him is myself. Later on, I met many people because of my appearance and family background. Even though I am disabled, countless men pursued me, but no one ever loved me as sincerely as George did. I live a lonely life. In the year I turned 60, I was diagnosed with cancer. My hair was completely white, and my face was covered in wrinkles. With little time left, I slowly pushed my wheelchair to the park alone. In the park, an elderly man who was very old but looked only a little over 30 was playing with his granddaughter. I recognized him at a glance. He looked just the same as he did when he was young. At this moment, the friendly Ivy walked over with a beaming smile. She waved at them. "You too, it's time to go home for dinner." George took his granddaughter's hand and happily walked towards her. Then he embraced her, holding his granddaughter as they brushed past me. His face was full of happiness. Not far away, their conversation could be heard. The granddaughter looked up at Ivy and asked cutely, "Grandma, have you learned how to cook the dishes Grandpa taught you?" Upon hearing this, George pinched his granddaughter's little nose and said, "What does it matter if you can't learn it? Grandpa will cook for Grandma."